Hi, as requested, I'm gonna be reviewing a video called Liver King Gets Fact-Checked by PhD Doctor.
There's no way he eats this stuff, right? He eats raw testicles? Raw eggs? Holy salmonella. This is ridiculous. None of this is ancestral. Yeah, this just stopped being funny. It just started being
None of this is ancestral? We'll see what he says.
kind of sad. Today we're looking at the Liver King. We're gonna have some fun. I've actually never seen any of his content. I know it's the steroids guy, right? Somebody released him.
Yes, I'm pretty sure that I was the first one to call him out on the steroids. That was many years ago, and I remember a lot of people commenting on the video saying that he's not on steroids, defending him, even though it was clear as day. And then when it came out, everybody was saying, oh yeah, of course he's on steroids, look at him. But when he was denying it, saying that he's not on any drugs, everybody believed him. Not everybody, but most people seem to believe him. And now everybody's just acting as if everybody knew it all along.
Information that he was on steroids, and the whole internet was like, no, really? That was a surprise. Completely.
Yeah, it was completely obvious, and there were still tons of people defending him, saying that it's the raw meat that made him look like this. Raw meat is going to make you look natural, healthy, good. This is not a natural, normal human body.
Unnatural looking physique, especially for an older dude. And he's an
Yeah, unnatural, exactly.
influencer. He's putting on a show on the internet. My default would be steroids. I mean, you'd have to show me mad evidence that he's not on steroids for me to believe that this is natural. Proving that he's on steroids is like showing me evidence that he has 10 toes or something like that. Anywho.
We evolved eating the whole animal, nose to tail, horns to hooves. But in the modern world,
By the way, besides also the rest of the body, below the skull, you can also see how the skin has aged terribly. The face just looks a lot older than it should.
we choose processed foods and muscle meats over the most nutrient-dense parts like liver and bone marrow.
Yeah, we also didn't.
Yeah, but the thing is that he didn't even eat that for the most part. You could see him eat burger patties, even potatoes and stuff like that. He just ate raw meat now and then. It was all a show. It was all fake. I always told people that it's fake.
Evolve shooting trenbolone into our butt cheeks, and yet here we are. Honestly, 100% of the time that I've talked to or that I've seen one of these ancestral bros, they don't mean it. They don't walk the walk, they don't believe it, they don't care, they don't read paleoanthropology research to see what our ancestors ate. They don't really care. It's a sales pitch.
The foods we evolved with for millions of years are the same foods that our biology expects today to heal and be healthy. So ditch the processed foods, the seed oils, and the liquid calories, and start incorporating primal fare like liver, heart, whole foods, bone marrow, and bone broth into your diet to express the leanest.
Bone broth doesn't make any sense. Bone broth was created when humans were starving, which is why they cooked the bones and whatever else they couldn't really eat. And then they made that to try to survive, to get something out of it. But bone broth is starvation food. This is not something that you should be eating normally.
Strongest, healthiest version of you.
Yeah, this is all storytelling. Ancestral doesn't mean healthy, especially long term. Some natural things are healthy, some are not. Some
What? Everything natural is healthy. What? Oh my god.
unnatural processed things are healthy.
What? Oh my god, this guy is so messed up. This is the second video of his which I'm reviewing.
And others are not. And one thing that people don't realize, a lot of the diseases that are the main causes of death nowadays, heart disease, cancer, they're not new diseases. They're fossils showing heart disease and cancer before.
Iceman was a heart attack waiting to happen. Proved that. How could you possibly? The first recorded heart attack in a US hospital was around 100 years ago. Before that, some people argue that some mummies from Egypt are also showing signs, which might as well be true, seeing as they were already eating seeds, but there's no signs of that outside of these slave populations where people were eating unnatural food. Show me one animal that suffers from it, whether it's a human or whatever, wolf, lion. If they eat natural food, can be a cow also, or whatever animal, doesn't matter, as long as they eat what they are naturally supposed to. I haven't seen that. As long as you cannot show that, you have no point.
Agriculture. We have no idea how common or how rare they were, but we know these diseases don't require modern foods to develop. Now, if I...
Yeah, but then why do we have so many cases today? Why was the first one, as I said, recorded in a US hospital 100 years ago? Why do we have millions of cases today? That doesn't make him think. One case 100 years ago, millions now. And we started eating seed oils, which is the plaque that has been found in the arteries. But no, it's not that.
Say I'm just going to eat natural foods and I'm going to avoid anything that's unnatural.
Well, yeah, of course. That's how every animal does it, and they all look healthy. What else are you going to do?
In general, that's not a terrible rule of thumb, because I'm going to avoid a lot of ultra-processed foods that are really unhealthy. But we can't rely on this at an individual level. Say these foods are natural, they weren't made in a factory, so they must be healthy for me, and these were made unnaturally, so they must be unhealthy. It doesn't work that way. There's lots of exceptions. We have so many scientific tests, thousands of tests of the health effects of different foods. We are...
Yeah, but these are not tests. I don't know what he's referring to exactly now, but typically in his videos, he only shows epidemiological studies, which are not scientific studies. It's observations, questionnaires that people fill out, and then you try to find a link, a correlation between whatever you want to find, seed oils and heart disease, diabetes, just a typical epidemiological studies, but these do not actually prove anything as far as the causation goes, seeing as it's not scientific. It's officially not scientific studies, because science has to be testable, repeatable. As he said, tests...
way past all of the storytelling.
All right, this is my Sunday rest day, and I'm getting ready to refeed. Just finished doing a simulated successful hunt, so now we're going to refeed. And
I would like him to show any kind of actual proof, anything scientific. It's just that I haven't seen anything, and I have been researching this for pretty much 10 years. Why doesn't he just show one example? Because he doesn't have anything.
What? I didn't understand half of that. Something about refeed and something about a hunt. Okay?
And this is what I'm about to eat. So I'm going to have...
It's probably because he believed that you should be starving, which no human's nature do. It never made any sense. Everything that he promoted was counterintuitive, pretty much everything. And then you would be refeeding. No, you would always be feeding if you could. And the worst loser hunters didn't have enough food and didn't develop as well as the ones who always had food. Famine and starvation always meant malformed bones, being underdeveloped. It was always a bad thing.
A protein shake, and then I'm going to have...
What happened to Ancestral?
Yeah, exactly. But his diet was a joke anyway. He very, very likely learned about raw meat from me. I only say that because I was the only one promoting eating raw meat back when he started, and I still am today, really. There's a few smaller channels today that also promote it. And he also called people primals, which he very likely got from Ajna's Wonder Planets, the primal diet. That's why it was all a joke. It was all stolen, and his diet was really 99% cooked anyway. The raw meat was just for the camera.
What happened to not processed foods? Protein shake, dude. It's what I'm telling you, 100% of the time. They don't mean it. I drink protein shakes. I don't have a problem with protein shakes. I have a problem with nonsense. Feeding you some story, some fairy tale, and then doing something completely different.
And then I'm going to have my concoction here, which I'll give you the recipe later. Have a little bit of maple syrup, have some full fat yogurt.
Yogurt's not ancestral. Dairy's not ancestral. There's one thing we know about ancestrals. Dairy's not ancestral.
Yes, in most places on Earth, dairy was never consumed. And in the places where they did consume dairy, it's only been Thousands of years, yeah, probably, but it's for sure not something that we have always been eating. And outside of Europe, it was rare. In Africa, here and there, but also not for that long. Dairy has never been really something that we consumed up until, as he says here, the domestication of animals, right? That's what he means.
Cavemen were not milking wild bovine and then fermenting it to make yogurt.
Right, yes, it was simply a survival food for winter. That's it, really.
This is the other thing. Like the whole marketing here is that this is an ancestral lifestyle. Is this believable? Is it just me? When you look at this guy, the last thing I think is ancestral. When you look at all these pictures of indigenous populations, whether it's in the Amazon or some island, they look lean, they look athletic, but they look nothing like this. They don't.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I always said. And this is why he's weak, because when you are obese, and he was by definition obese, I guess that he still is. He said that he hopped off the steroids, but then he was back on pretty soon, probably because he felt insecure because he lost size. It's all a mental illness essentially anyway. Yeah, exactly. That's what I always say. This is how natural people look like. They are agile, they are strong, they can move fast. Liver King was almost the opposite of a natural, ancestral human being in many ways, but especially because of the way he looked like. He would lose every fight a million times over against anybody who lives in nature, and even against me, just because I don't have the same issues. It would be super simple. He just couldn't move. Yeah.
They look like bodybuilders, and they're not doing sets and reps with weights to fake.
Yeah, it was all fake. It was to appeal to the masses with his unnatural steroid body. And he knew that it will appeal to them. Yeah, absolute joke.
They don't have creatine, they don't have protein powder, they definitely don't have steroids to inject. I think this mostly appeals to probably young men, maybe, I don't know, 16 to 23 would be my guess. And the irony is, probably men think that if they look like this, they're going to attract women. Women are going to be crazy. I think most women would not say that this is an attractive physique. Feel free to disagree if you're a woman watching in the comments.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, he gets it. Nice. That's exactly right.
But I think most women would say that this is too much and kind of unnatural. When you look at
Yeah, exactly. Unnatural means unattractive. Yeah, exactly.
sex symbols, they're never the bodybuilding type. They're guys that look athletic, guys that
Yeah, but you... That's funny, man. He shows the faces. Yeah, of course. You're not even showing the rest of the body because I guess that subconsciously he understands that it's not even important. That's funny, man. He shows some of the best looking guys.
So organ meats like liver are very nutrient rich. Things like certain vitamins like vitamin A, for example, iron, very concentrated. So it can be helpful, for example, someone is deficient in one of those nutrients. There are studies with children who are deficient in certain vitamins and you give them organ meats and you see improvement very rapidly. Or somebody can't get enough of those nutrients in their diet for some reason. Yeah, these foods are an option. They're not necessary in a diet. You can have a healthy diet without organ meats that covers all your needs.
No, they are very necessary. You will never feel actually healthy and happy if you don't eat organs. It's impossible.
But you can also have a diet put together with...
The way you gotta see it is that in nature, if you eat organs, you are the most successful you possibly can be because it means that you hunted down an animal and you're getting to the best parts. And then your body is rewarded by nature, so to speak. And that's why you feel so happy and healthy when you eat liver, heart, testicles, brain, even kidneys, spleen, also super good. Without it, if you eat just muscle meat, you're going to be eating like the lower ranks. The dogs, if human and dogs would hunt together, they would get the muscle meat. And a lot of people don't even really eat muscle meat today. And if they do, then they cook it anyway. So they are eating cooked slave food, basically, or at least cooked lower rank food with some seeds and vegetables. That will make you feel horrible. Switch to raw organs and you're gonna feel as happy and healthy as never before in your life. Liver King probably never even felt how you're actually supposed to because of all the drugs.
Some organ meats eaten in moderation. You want to watch out for excess, though. When you start eating meme diets with massive amounts of this, you can get into problems because those same vitamins, you can get too much of them.
Absolutely no proof. There's no such thing.
Vitaminosis is actually a thing.
It's actually not a thing, hypervitaminosis. There's no recorded cases of it whatsoever, as in actually zero.
With vitamin A, for example. Now, it's not a common thing with most people. It's not something that most people need to worry about. But when you get into these fad meme diets, that's...
Liver damage. Yeah, from toxins or from vitamin A supplements, which are just toxins in a pill form. That's not vitamin A. This cannot even be proven in the first place, vitamin A. It's a molecule which we cannot even define, meaning that whatever is even in the liver cannot be proven in the first place. But if you take something synthetic with tons of toxins which are required to produce it, then what do you expect to get out of it? Yeah, liver damage, that would be one thing. There's never been one recorded case of somebody overdosing on organs and getting too many vitamins. Literally zero cases. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
When these problems start to pop up. So the upper limit for vitamin A is 3 milligrams a day. 3,000 micrograms or 3 milligrams.
Yeah, but what does it matter? This is something that humans made up. Completely irrelevant.
And he said 4 ounces of turkey liver. So I'm looking it up on the USDA database. 4 ounces of turkey liver contains over...
But he said that it's not even raw, but whatever. Yeah, and so what's the problem? I eat over 1 kilogram of raw liver every week. I eat liver every day. Yeah, it's for sure over 1 kilogram a week. Never had a problem. I feel super good.
Try to eat a healthy, balanced diet, adjust and personalize for your needs.
Yeah, and what does he mean by that? It's just a bunch of green leaves, avocado, bread. It's basically plant-based. That's a starvation meal. Most of this, or maybe even none of this, exists in nature. Yeah, but he doesn't care about nature. I forgot, yeah. That's why it wouldn't even matter, right? It's a modern, plant-based, balanced meal that you're having there. And this is what's supposed to make you healthy. Absolutely ridiculous.
If you're low, if you're deficient, you definitely want to get more. But be careful with the meme diets.
Liver King here. We're about to have Wednesday dinner. This is what it looks like. We're going to have liver with every meal, breakfast.
Yeah, and this is how he made all the money, by selling those supplements. Makes no sense. But okay, people fall for anything.
This lunch and dinner.
Product placement? Yeah, because these guys have to make money off of you, right? And the number one way that influencers make money off of their viewers is supplements.
Yeah, that's true. And nothing wrong with selling people something as long as it's useful, of course. And everybody needs to survive somehow in this slave system. That's all fine. It's just that if he's promoting eating raw meat, and especially raw liver, and he calls himself Liver King, although the liver before is cooked, then he should just tell people eat liver. No, but still he sells organ supplements, which turned out to be from a different source than what he was saying anyway. That's been exposed.
And 99 times out of 100, they didn't test their supplement in human beings with a trial. I'll look it up, but I'll be blown up. My head will explode if this guy ran a trial to make sure that this does anything or that it's safe. Yep, I just looked it up. No trace of a human trial. Shocker.
Lunch and dinner. We have a little bit of guacamole.
Okay, that's good. He's got some avocados, some healthy fat.
How is that good? That's the worst part of the meal.
That's in there. We gotta find some positives in here so it's not all bashing.
We got maybe 2 pounds of bacon, cheddar, cheeseburger.
Bacon is processed red meat. Wasn't he complaining about eating processed foods in the modern world?
But in the modern world, we choose processed foods.
This is 100% not ancestral. Neither is the cheese. Also, bacon and processed red meats in general are one of the unhealthiest things you can eat on a regular basis. And
well, it's still healthier than eating plants and seeds, but yeah, there's some bad additives, such as salt, obviously.
Now, do I believe that he actually eats like this? I'd be surprised. It's probably all show, if I had to guess. But the point is, The target audience that's going to watch this, the impressionable 16-year-old boys, they're going to watch this and think, oh, this is what you eat to be jacked. They're going to go eat the same thing. And if they eat this consistently daily, they're probably going to run into issues. Also, did he say it's raw liver?
About 2 to 3 ounces of some raw liver.
Yep. Do not eat raw organs, whatever you do. You're basically risking food poisoning for no benefit. There's no upshot. They find contamination.
To be fair, if you eat it from factory farmed animals especially, yes, you could be risking food poisoning because these animals are over medicated. They don't go outside sometimes, depending on what animal we are talking about. They get fed unnatural food. Their livers and the rest of the organs can actually be toxic, poisonous, which is what would lead to food poisoning. But if you eat natural, healthy animals, what's the problem? It's not as if there's toxins in animals naturally. It's not as if animals walk around with toxins inside of them. So what would you be getting food poisoning from? Yeah, this is something that he couldn't possibly explain. There's no problems with healthy animals.
In raw offal or organ meats, offal is another word for organ meats, pretty commonly. Some of the common ones they find are Salmonella and E. coli. One study found Salmonella.
Yeah, but this is a hypothesis at best. And really, can you even call it that? It's really closer to a religious belief. You cannot actually prove that the bacteria, Salmonella for example, cause the disease. That has never been proven in any experiment, study, test, nothing.
In most samples of raw organ meats that they examined, another found E. coli.
Yeah, because it's naturally part of the animals, so obviously you will find them in the organs. Same as it is with your organs.
Little thing here, I just finished the workout, so this is an example of my post-workout meal. I'm gonna have 6 raw eggs that's fresh from the farm.
Raw eggs? Holy salmonella. There's actually a scientific study that compared raw eggs to boiled eggs, believe it or not. So they had people work out and right after gave them either boiled eggs or raw eggs. And the boiled
Raw eggs, blah, blah, blah.
eggs actually raise the amino acid levels in the blood more. That actually makes sense because cooking makes the protein.
I would need to look this up, but I don't even care about it because raw eggs, the clear, have an anti-nutrient which hinders the digestion and absorption of the protein. This might as well be true. It wouldn't prove anything because you should only be eating the yolk.
More digestible. But when they looked at the actual, what's called muscle protein synthesis, so actual production of muscle in the muscle tissue, it was essentially identical between the raw and the boiled. So I don't know a single reason to eat eggs raw, and there's plenty of reasons not to do it. Food poisoning. I'm not saying if you eat one raw egg, you're definitely going to get food poisoning. It's a numbers game. That's a minority of eggs that are contaminated. But I can't think of a single...
Yeah, it's again the same problem. Eat factory farmed eggs, chicken, and you're gonna have problems. Eat healthy chickens that roam around outside eating insects, you're gonna be fine. It's not as if an egg naturally has poisons inside of it, because that's the potential baby chicken. It would make 0 sense for it to be poisonous.
We have 3 ounces of fresh raw testicle. We have 2.5 ounces of some fresh raw liver drizzled in some maple syrup and some sea.
There's no way he eats this stuff, right?
And it's also funny that he ate the liver with maple syrup. It just shows you that he never actually ate this way. Otherwise, he would just eat the liver as it is. It was all so fake.
He eats raw testicles? Really? Okay, let's take a second to talk about what is known scientifically about the health effects of eating organ meats long term. What studies do we have? I found a few studies, maybe a dozen or a couple dozen. Now, that's not a lot, and virtually everything is observational. So I'd say our confidence...
Yeah, and he keeps using the word scientific, science. None of this is scientific. Observations are not scientific.
Confidence is not very high. A couple report a link between high intake of organ meats and specific cancer types. Higher risk of bladder cancer in one study, higher risk of lung cancer in another study. Another one reports more cancer.
Yeah, and this is just a correlation. Somebody ate some organs. He also smoked, drank alcohol, and who knows what, that's all ignored. And the reason he had this problem is because of organs. Yeah, that's how these studies work. It's a joke.
Deaths and more total deaths in high consumers of organ meats, and one finds a link to depressive symptoms. Like I said, these are all observations.
Yeah, totally. You totally feel depressed when you eat organs. That's what everybody reports, not the opposite.
Accumulation of heavy metals, things like lead and cadmium can sometimes bioaccumulate in the liver.
Yeah, if the animal is unhealthy, that's the case with polar bear liver, exactly. That's why people got poisoned by eating it. They had typical signs of cadmium and lead poisoning, but again, that's the reason why you should be eating healthy animals.
Some toxins can also accumulate there. In general, the liver functions as sort of a detoxifier for the body and a filter for the body. So it'll tend to break down toxins, but in some situations where the animal is living in a very polluted environment, for example, some toxins can accumulate there, or sometimes the body.
Exactly, if the animal is overloaded, yeah, that's why you shouldn't be eating badly farmed animals, and most people will be buying farmed animals realistically.
Good morning, primals.
Ooh, this is the same guy?
Texas is the state.
What's the time difference here from the first videos? 200 weeks, 3 years and something. This is extreme. I mean, look, age is going to get to every single one of us, and I don't look like I did 10 years ago anymore.
Yeah, but again, if you would want to promote ancestral living, which is what he always talked about, then you should be looking youthful, healthy. That's what really appeals to people. Even the people who are into steroids or bodybuilding without steroids, when they look at somebody who looks youthful and healthy, they still have to look at them and think, fuck, they are doing something right. Yeah, I want to maybe be all huge, full of tumor-like muscles and whatnot, but fuck, when I look at this guy, he does look really good. Health just appeals to everybody. Everybody appreciates somebody who looks youthful and healthy, no matter what you're into. This is why what Liver King did to himself really scared people off.
But this is pretty intense.
And we're gonna go.
Yeah, he's in his 40s somewhere, right? Yeah, might as well be in his 60s, 70s easily. Yeah, really, really bad. Not even aging, that's just deterioration.
Somewhere today here in Austin. If anybody knows.
It's the voice too. The voice has changed completely from those first videos. He's got wild anisocoria, like the pupils. Do you see that? They're completely asymmetric. Now this can be completely benign. Some people are born with asymmetrical pupil size, so that can be natural. But I didn't notice this in the first videos. Yeah, I don't see it there. If it's there, it's much less marked.
Something else. Ask me what the password is to Wi-Fi. I can't wait to share it.
Yeah, this just stopped being funny. It just started being kind of sad. What other crazy stuff is he doing? These ancestral bros like to sit in the sun all day long. They're terrified of sunscreen. They got no problem injecting steroids and all kinds of other crazy stuff, but sunscreen is going to kill you, so that crushes your skin. You age faster. It could be genetics. It could be...
Come on, man. It's obviously the drugs.
So you want to be the healthiest version of you. Eat a healthy, balanced diet. Work out. Live a healthy life.
What does that even mean? The plant-based diet, which he was showing before, that will make you unhealthy. Working out is just stress. It's also going to make you unhealthy and age you.
Lifestyle. Work on yourself. Stop falling for these meme diets. Stop falling for these supplements that haven't been tested on anything.
But it's not a meme diet. It's what humans have always been eating.
A guy who can't spell DNA designed a supplement for you.
DNA doesn't exist. What do you mean? What does it matter? Even if you couldn't spell it, it's a man-made language. How would it be relevant?
What could possibly go wrong? Stop falling for these gurus. These guys don't have the answers any more than you do.
I didn't expect much from this PhD doctor. He went through the educational system. He obviously blindly believes whatever he learned. And that's why he uses the words science, scientific, especially when referring to everything that he shows you. But at the same time, he says that it cannot prove cause and effect. And of course it can't, because it's case reports and epidemiological studies which he shares with you for the most part. It's just trying to find a correlation between seed oils and heart disease, for example. It's just somebody who filled out a piece of paper and reported that they ate some seed oils. Oftentimes they just tick a box and don't even account for anything else, such as smoking, alcohol, exercise, all kinds of stress. Sometimes they do, but that still cannot prove the actual cause of the heart disease, for example. That really doesn't prove anything. You could call it evidence, it's just very weak evidence, because when you look at the ranking of evidence, case reports and epidemiological studies are almost at the very bottom. It's the lowest kind of evidence you can possibly have, and typically when you watch people today who are all about science, they will usually share case reports and epidemiological studies, and that's because those are the kind of studies which are mostly done today. If they would do actual real scientific studies, experiments when it comes to organs, it would prove that organs are the healthiest foods for humans. That's why they don't do it. There's also not any financing behind it, seeing as you need to pay the people for these studies. It's a lot of work. They are expensive, and who would be interested in proving that organs are healthy? Yeah, maybe some farms and slaughterhouses, I suppose, kind of indirectly, but they don't even have the money to finance something like that. That's why it's probably never gonna happen. You will never see real scientific studies done on organs, drinking blood, eating raw meat anyway. If you would ever see a study about organs, then it would be cooked organs, seeing as the whole scientific community is afraid of the bacteria which are lurking around, trying to infect you and kill you, or at least make you sick. Yes, they poison you. It's not poison which poisons you. It's not toxins. It's, of course, the microbes, the little animals which are crawling all around you, inside of you, on the meat that you eat. That's why you need to barbecue it, fry it in seed oils. That's okay, according to the case reports. And then you can eat it. Yeah, great. Just eat really hard to digest food, where most of what was inside in the original raw form is destroyed now, and then wonder why it tastes even worse, is hard to digest. And that applies to all meat. If you try to eat raw meat for a while and then you try to eat cooked meat, you will right away notice how hard it is to actually digest it. A lot of people report this. This guy has never even tried it, really. His opinion is irrelevant when it comes to the topic of raw meat, organs, or anything actually ancestral, natural, seeing as he said that what is natural doesn't equal health anyway. He's completely biased. He couldn't even name one thing that's natural and unhealthy, or the other way around, whatever. And then when it comes to actually proving it, no examples whatsoever. That's why I can't even argue with him, seeing as he didn't provide any evidence. Anyway, the bottom line is that Liver King was always a joke. I think that I'm the first one who called him out for using steroids, and I right away saw through his act. People only realized all of this later on, and now I guess that he's panicking. He has some kind of mental breakdown because he used to be high up in his head socially. It's all bullshit anyway, of course. And because he went down, I guess that it really just made him mad because he's not at the top in his head anymore, which is why he went on a really self-destructive path. Yeah, that's how it goes. Thanks for watching.